Everyone just take a breath, try to relax and be in the room. Another breath. We are ready to begin, and we are so pleased you're here. And we've waited for you for so long. We've waited your entire lives because we wanted you to understand why you're here. We wanted you to understand your importance and why you've had the life journeys that you've had. And we're going to give you as much information as we can because you're in the world now. It's such an opportune time, and you just haven't understood that. And last night we had Roger write this little graph that we have on the screen because we wanted you all to see that, because this is what you're coming to understand. You're coming to understand this about your lives, and you're coming to understand it about your world. That's why you're here. You could not have existed at a more opportune time, and your life experiences could not have been more valuable than they are at this moment in your world, your life's trajectory, and also that of your world. And we will show you why. Let's begin. Who has the first question? You have the ability to unmute.
How do we engage with the opposition in a way that doesn't belittle their beliefs and attachments?
You rise above that. They were given to you as a gift. Your perceptions, your awareness of all humans is coming into play now. That's why you're here. You have to see above anyone that you disagree with, because your awareness is not to the place where you can understand yet why they are there, what part they hold in your experience. Anyone who comes into your life does so. The law of attraction is real. Anyone who comes into your life does that so that they can help you evolve. You have an individual journey that you're on. And so when you're feeling some discomfort with the others, it means you have to go to a higher level of understanding within yourself. They were given to you as a gift. Does that help you?
Yes, I'm trying to keep my ego and doing this for the one rather than for my own aggrandizement, I guess.
Yes, the ego is always the trouble. The ego is the trouble because the ego wants to have you stay stuck. You live in your consciousness, and as you come into human form, you have experiences that are designed to cause you to move beyond your ego. As we have always said, we've told you that your ego is this entity that you've created outside of yourself that thinks it's going to keep you safe. And it doesn't do that at all, because it makes you uncomfortable. See, when you start to move outside of that limited perception that you've had about yourself, then the ego says, no, we're going to make you fearful. We're going to make you stay right here. And then you won't own the empowerment, the purpose of your existence. Your existence was to be in the world to offer something to the evolution of all that is. And every experience is giving you, providing you with the opportunity to accomplish your goal. That's what's going on.
So the fear is a manifestation that the ego is playing you.
Yes. Why would you have fear? We only have fear because you think that you're going to die. You don't do that. You just ascend. You're in a constant process of ascension, but you're in physical form in this 3D world, this three-dimensional world, but you're all attempting to move to this other higher level of understanding and consciousness, which is your fifth dimension as you think of it. And if you're carrying some sort of judgment about someone else, you're carrying it about yourself. That is the process of ascension, is letting go of the weight, and the weight is everything from the past. And you just have these incidents and people who come into your life to make you aware of the things that you're still holding on to. You don't want to hold on to that. You want happiness. You're intended You wanted to be joyful. You wanted to have a great life experience, and you wanted it to be fun. And so as you move through each blockage, you start to get to that higher level of understanding. And that's an experience that it's challenging for many to understand, because you're still working through, let's say, some of the old limitation. Let's say this. You have, in this particular time, and we must go into all of this so everyone understands, you're moving through a time that none of you have experienced. None of you. So it's impossible for you to know the purpose of all the things that you're seeing in your world and in your lives. But you have to know that what you're doing is this is why we're so grateful for the contributions that each of you are making, because you agreed to move through restrictions and limitations in your life so you could add that light and love and energy to the collective. You see, that's what's going on. And so we're happy that you're accepting that. And even though it's challenging, it's been challenging for all of you. The last several years have been extremely challenging for your entire world, but it was purposeful, because you let go of all the old stuff. Everything you see happening in your world is what you wanted to let go. And each of you will view those experiences in a manner that awakens something within you. And what we always want you to awaken to is your brilliance, your importance, how much you were needed in the world and needed at this time.
Thank you.
Next question.
Actually, I had, excuse me, I just was sneezing, so I sound stuffed up. I had an observation, actually. I had gotten contact with someone I hadn't spoken with in several years, and that I knew quite a long time ago, and or thought I knew, and we just did one of those catching up conversations, and then I don't know how we ended up getting on, maybe not specifically on politics, but one political figure, and I did not know that he had an opposing view, and so I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth. But anyway,
No, you didn't. That was perfect. Please, that was perfect, because see, that was something that you've been afraid of. That was something you spoke your truth, and then you second guessed yourself because you were afraid of what their reaction would be. No, you're now what's happening. This is wonderful. See, people come into your lives and they come back from the past to give you the opportunity to own your voice. You didn't stick your foot in your mouth. You were letting it out finally, which is wonderful. Now, if you feel that you offended in some way, which we don't believe that occurred, you just felt that way. But now you practice forgiveness if you think something like that might have come up, or if that person took offense to what you said, but you did not stick your foot in your mouth. We just wanted to say, though, please go on.
Okay. Well, actually, I did make a comment which the person did find slightly offensive, and I said, and I told them that because I was making a generality, I said, well, I did not include them in that group because it's complicated. Anyway, this person I know is extremely intelligent, and I consider that, in my opinion, a lot of the followers of this specific person are not, let's just say they're not illuminated. They're not, yeah. And so, but
which is why they showed up in your experience, because see, what you said, even though if they were offended, doesn't matter, because they were not. They found something, because you said something from a truthful place for you. And if it's from the light, it's from God, which you felt connected to, they will hear it eventually. But that's not your responsibility to have them understand it. But if you know that you're coming from your heart with whatever you're saying, you're not responsible for their reception. They are responsible for that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I have also found, because of this, humongous political divide that we've had for the last few years, that I originally started out being like almost super militant about it. Like I wouldn't have anything to do with people who were,
Yes.
had an opposing opinion. And then, then I've slowly, you know, talked to people who had the opposed and listened to their viewpoint. I still don't agree with it, but I know that, they have their right to an opinion. And so while sticking to my opinions and beliefs and concerns, I am, saying, go ahead, I'll hear what you have to say. And I do listen, and I do think about it. And because what is the point of listening if I'm not going? I'm willing to admit if I'm wrong. But anyway, that was just an interesting thing that happened recently. So I'm trying to look at it as me kind of, up leveling myself. So
which is why we gave you the post that you see on the screen.
Right. Yeah.
See, you're moving through a time in your world where you're attempting to, this is a planetary ascension that you're all moving through. And what you're attempting to do is bring your world into a higher state of understanding and beingness. And that is the dimension that you're all moving to. And you've heard of the fifth dimension or the age of Aquarius, but it is a time of light. Not everyone will be on the same page. As we've often said, that your role here is to uplift. And so if you're going to hate the others, as we have referred to them, then you're not going to accomplish your job. You see, your job was to be loved. Your job was to bring that in. And so you're not responsible for the reception of what someone has. But if you feel, like we said, if you've made someone offended, you might feel that you want to apologize. However, you're trying to figure out the ways where you can own the truth that is within you. And as we've said often, you are right and so are they. And that's what you're all attempting to understand, that you have to put different ideas and beliefs into the mix so your world keeps expanding. That's what's always gone on since the beginning of time that man has been on the earth, as man has been on the planet. That's what's happening. But now you're moving through an evolutionary change that none of you have experienced. And that's why it was so divisive. And it's getting a little better. Not much, but it's getting a little better, but it's waiting for you to start to own who you are. You see, all of you are here to love yourselves more. And what we've done and the work that we've given you is to move through every restriction and limitation and judgment that you've had about yourselves. And you can't do that unless you see opposing views, unless you see others who do not agree with you. And then you're going to rise above that and find the love that you can put in while you're owning yourself. It's a process because you each have programming. You've been taught when you were young to believe a certain way, or to be a certain way, and you spend your lives trying to figure out your individual way. But you're on a great path because you're doing that. And so this is why we wanted to say you did not stick your foot in the mouth. You just opened up to another level of your expansion.
Well, I hope to continue to evolve. It's not easy, but because on the other side, actually, of that almost being militant, and I didn't hate anybody, but maybe extremely dislike, but
No, you felt anger.
Yeah, and
that's what motivated you. That's perfect.
Yeah, but on the other side, I found that my superpower is compassion.
Yes.
And so I want to practice more of that in my business and in my life in general, and put that out there. And sometimes when I'm being compassionate toward a person, it's almost like I can feel this, I don't know, energy of mine going into them,
Yes,
like, yeah, like a
absolutely.
metaphysical
Yes,
comfort or something,
yes.
if that makes any sense.
Yes, and we want to say the anger that you are referring to is what we call good anger. See, because we know that sometimes you need to experience that because you've been a little stuck, because you have been a really wonderful, loving person, and you've been that way, but then there was a part of you that didn't want to own, and you needed a little more assertion, as you might say, or empowerment. And so that in those moments of that little bit of anger that comes up just moves you to another level of understanding and acceptance of yourself. That's all. Because you know, on the fundamental level, you know you're a loving person. You know what you want to see in your world, and this is why you're here. But it is, like you said, a struggle because you're working through old generational beliefs. You all are. This period, you're working through generational beliefs. And we've explained this a bit before, but you're seeing it over your entire planet. Now, we know that Roger's in the United States, but we're talking about all countries. You're doing it all over your world. You're making a choice in terms of the type of world that you want to have. And we can say this because we know who you are, and you wouldn't be listening to us unless you were the ones who were going to bring in the light. It looks like there's a struggle between light and the dark, but you needed all of that. As we told you in 2012, that conflict creates unity. Eventually, you move through periods in your world where you will come into conflict. There have been wars, there have been things that have gone on for centuries, beyond what you can remember. And every time you come out better, because there's certain people who exist during those changes, like you, who bring in the love. And it's a challenge because, again, you're working through centuries, eons old energies. You're creating a new paradigm. You're moving into a new paradigm. That's why you're all here. And we, again, why we had the post. We had Roger do it last night because we knew that many of you would be struggling with understanding your importance, and you're going to see all that, but you have to look beyond it to know that you're doing something so magnificent because you're agreeing to move through your limitations that have existed within you and your family, your ancestors, and everyone that you can think of before. And now what you're doing is moving beyond that. And it is challenging, but this is why we did the talks, you see, because we wanted to give you more. And we also, that's why we did our entire program, by the way, was we knew how you would be, this challenging this would be. And we're at a place now in your world where you're making this existential choice, and you're all equally involved. And if you're putting in love, eventually, collectively, if you start to create the world that you want. If you're not, if you're going to stay in stuckness of yourselves, then you can't do that. And so sometimes you need a little bit of good anger to move to the next level, and that's what you did.
And so
that-
then, and then the next, and then the next level, the next level is love.
Yes. You're all attempting to get to love. You see, this is your entire life has been about getting to love. And what you do is, as we've said before, you move through all these things, these fear and doubts and all of that to get to love. But what you have to do, the way you get there, is by taking away the judgment of yourselves. And as you do that, you start to experience your consciousness, your awareness in a different dimension, let's say. And you start seeing things differently. You start to understand that, oh, all of these things have to work together for us to create a great world. Everything in my life that I went through was causing me to become a great person. This is what we want you to understand, because you start judging your experiences, your individual things that you've moved through, because many times you don't know why you had them. You don't know why they happened to you. Sometimes they come to you from your ancestors, from people you don't know, or your parents, or your environment, or whatever it is. Your job is always to move through them so that you get to live an extraordinary life. And you must understand that you only experience everything in your consciousness. Your consciousness is how you perceive and then start to create. But then we want to get you to your heart, because you're moving into a period in your world where it's going to be heart-centered. That's what's going to elevate everything.
Okay, it's like to be your authentic self. that still sort of confuses me. Who's my authentic self? As far as having something that I want to do, I have 20 things that I want to do.
That's perfect. That's your authentic self. We love that.
But I've been dreaming since I was like 6 years old or 8 years old. Now I'm 70 something years old, and you know, the dream is getting stronger and more realistic all the time. It just setting it loose.
This is the confusing thing for all of you. This is why, again, we said you must stop seeing age. Humans are so stuck on age because you live.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care about my age. That doesn't bother me. I think I've got lots of time left.
Oh, perfect.
But
great. That's all we wanted. Because see, your evolution is still occurring. It's always occurring as long as you're in physical form. But we start to make these assessments about yourselves that you're not where you should be or shouldn't. No, you're supposed to have fun. If you have 20 things to do and you're enjoying them, then do them. That's all. It's just you'll figure out which is right for you. We just had Roger write something earlier or today because many people will kind of procrastinate because you're not sure if it's going to be the right thing for you or whatever. And we said, well, trial and error is progress.
Right, and procrastination isn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand that one quite well.
Yeah.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Can you tell me in the year coming up, what can you see for me in general, and just focus on my living situation, for example?
Yes, you're going to start to open up to understanding your purpose in being here and the experiences that you've had and how much they have added to the collective humankind evolutionary. That's what you're doing. You have accepted something that was challenging, but you did it at such a great time because next year is when your world is going to start to transition into this higher level of understanding. And those of you who have gone through circumstances or situations or whatever they are, lack, what an illness, what disease, all of those things, they're going to start to lift because as you lift your consciousness, you let go of the physical body and all of those things. And then you start to allow the essence of who you are to come through. And that will start to put you in the right place. You'll have the money, you'll have all the things that will come about. But it's a process of changing your mind. And what we did when we told Roger, and he didn't understand this, he didn't understand, he's been doing it forever, but he didn't know what he was doing. But when you work on your mind every day consistently, you start to understand different levels of existence, and then you're able to manifest things in a moment, just in an instant. But it takes time to develop that ability because you all have it. In the first, we just want to tell you this because in 2012, when we first gave Roger the program that we're talking about, we said on the very January 1st, infinite intelligence, you all have it. But you just allow as much to come to you based on your individual experiences and based on your openness to receive that information. And then you start to come into a greater awareness and appreciation for who you are. You give that back to others. So every experience that you've had, everything that you've moved through is part of your journey. This was your evolutionary path because you had things that you were letting go of from before, and you've moved through it in this lifetime. And then now you did it at such a great time, whereas you're moving into this new era, the new earth, as we call it. And so now in this next year, you will be able to start to see that coming about. It'll start to manifest in an entirely new way for you. But it's you deciding that you're going to take the time, and this is why we said it's a daily thing that you each go through, and you won't stay there all the time, of taking your thoughts and going inside and understanding the great connection that you have to all that is and the importance that you had in bringing in the world, and especially at this time.
Okay, thank you. I'm having some trouble with boundaries myself.
Oh,
And,
perfect. Boundaries. We just wrote that. How did we know? We just said that each of you are going to have to start learning to set your boundaries because you're becoming more important to yourselves. And so you're starting to see the things that you've allowed to infringe on your personal space, your freedom, your ability to live and move. You're all doing that. But again, you're going to create your boundaries with love. That's going to be the challenge. You're going to say, wait a minute, okay, I'm going to start taking care of me now, and I need to do this, and I need that, and that's okay. And as long as you have that awareness that you are doing this, never to hurt another, but only to love yourself, because that's why you're here.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Do we have more?
That's a wonderful description about boundaries. I'm actually a boundaries coach.
Oh, wonderful.
But I want to add that to
Oh,
about
you're going to be so, oh, that's perfect, because you're going to be so needed.
yeah, and you know, sometimes I look at myself and I say, okay, well, I'm still a work in progress when it comes to
Yes,
boundaries too.
yes. Okay, we just wrote that as well. Thank you so much for this. Wow, the connections are just so great today, because this is so perfect. You're not supposed to know everything. You're always a work in progress, but what you each do, and this is the responsibility that you have, is to bring what you know now. You bring what you know now, and as we love using, we had Roger even talk about this line from A Course in Miracles this morning, where he said, you teach what you need to learn. Think about that. You teach what you need to learn, because you're all doing the same thing, and you're just at different levels. And you can see that the people that are coming to you as clients, you know that you're at a level of understanding that is beyond them, but you also know that you're going to have more.
That's very true.
I'm sorry. I had another question about something that happened to me once that I keep feeling like it was some kind of really momentous thing and that it has some kind of meaning behind it. But what happened was, I don't remember how many years ago, I was being hypnotized, I think, to help me with anxiety or something. And for some reason, during that time, all of a sudden, I saw in my head, what was supposed to be me, but I was wearing a midnight blue velvet cloak that was really long, like something out of the Renaissance, I guess. And I had my arms stretched out, and this bright white light was shooting from my fingers. I mean, it was just like really powerful. And every once in a while, I think about that and I say, what is that telling me I'm supposed to be doing?
That's what's happening. You're doing it now. You're moving into it now. You've all had this. We've had Roger talk about his dream that he tried to put away. So you all have had that. And now they're coming back. Now they're showing up. And where you thought you made it up, you didn't make it up. It was real. It was your higher self showing you a version of yourself that you were going to move into. So it's more than likely that it's coming up now and you're going to be moving into it. And you probably will be that person that you saw in that robe. That's just it. But you have to just envision and allow it to manifest, which is what you're doing. You must understand that so many of you think that the dreams or the ideas, the things that come to you were accidental or didn't really happen. That's never true. It just takes you a while before you accept it. And then as you continue working on your evolvement, those things can manifest in your life. And so, but we want you to stop, to not doubt yourself. And if that, because all you live in different, you're multidimensional beings, okay? Because you have the idea that you're only right here. No, you can access your future. You can access your past, even in your thoughts. And so when sometimes you have visions of things that are in your future, and that means that you're supposed to manifest them, and you use your lives and your daily experiences to keep moving on till you manifest that vision.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things, and we just had Roger write this earlier today, about imagination, and that's the thing that has been talked out of many of you. And sometimes it happens when you're children because they think, don't daydream, don't think too much about that, be realistic. No, you're not supposed to be realistic. You're supposed to create something new and wonderful and beautiful. But the old programming is what to have you, it has you kind of stuck. And so, and it's been, and this is again, this is the galactic shift. So it's very big, and no one has experienced this. None of you have experienced this. So that's why it's challenging. But you must understand that you are doing such an amazing job by being in in the world at this time, if you decide to own and love yourself. The one concept that we want you to understand, which has been challenging for Roger to get many to understand, is that you're not supposed to suffer. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to be joyful, especially during this time. And that's the most challenging thing, especially when you're seeing what's happening in your world. But that is why you are on the earth now. That's why you're here, is to bring in this level of light and love, which is going to cause your evolutionary journey to expand, but it's the same for your world. And that's why you're here.
The video that you showed in the last channel that went from the microcosm to the edges of the universe and back
Yes.
is what we are, if the message wasn't that explicit.
Yes.
The fact that within our very bodies there is life and death, a life and death struggle, a war, peace, growth and destruction, all going on at once. And somehow we find a way to put it into one thing of our consciousness and our awareness. It's no wonder that our mind is always jumping around, because it has so many places to rest unless we center ourselves on ourselves.
Yes.
And stay with ourselves.
Yes. Some time ago, and we love that you brought this up, that you'll explain our point for us, because we told Roger some time ago, please change the name of the program to your last development program, because what's going to go on, many of you now are scrambling because the energies are immense and intense, and so you think you're trying to get somewhere to figure something out or have something happen. No, you're supposed to stay where you are, just work on who you are, and we wanted to instill that belief, that idea into so many of you, because there's just a franticness that's going on, and it's exacerbated because of the energies of the planets that are moving so quickly now. However, you just have to stay into that's why it's so great to go to be in nature, to meditate, to just give yourself self-care is never more important for you as it is now. Deciding to love yourself and take care of yourself, that's what it is. We gave Roger a wonderful story this morning. We want you all to understand this, because you've misinterpreted your lives sometimes and have not understood the value of them. There was a young lady who was on a reality show or something like that, but then she discovered that she had some imbalance in her body. And no one told her what it was. And she discovered through her research, however, that it was in some sort of imbalance chemically or something. And she found natural supplements that she could correct all of this. And she had to change things in her diet. We don't remember exactly what all that was, but the fact was she decided to take that information, and because she had experienced it and she couldn't find anything out there where it was easy to get to that. So she decided, I'm going to do it myself. And she wrote a book and she started a business, and she's making millions of dollars because she decided to take her experience, figure out, and she saw something was missing in the world, your world. And she said, I'm going to fill that gap. Each of you are doing that. You're filling a gap that existed in your world that wasn't here until you got here. And so now that's what you're doing. We want you to understand it's so important now as you're moving into this next dimension of your world. This is why we said next year, things will start to unfold if more of you decide to actively work on who you are and decide to love yourselves. That's the most important thing. The name of her company that she created after all of this was Love Yourself Well. We thought that was just such a perfect title.
Oh.
We have more?
I was also going to comment about our creativity and our flow. I observed it in myself watching the video that the first idea came out, and then there was a hesitancy, and I recognized it as, wait a minute, it's this good, I stopped the flow.
Yes.
And the meditation the practice is what keeps you centered enough that your creativity goes without those hitches in it, or fewer hitches that you can overcome, and it flows in many ways in your life.
Yes. And one of the biggest challenges that many of you have in human life experience is allowing your creativity to come through, which is the entire purpose of your existence. There was no reason for you to come onto the earth unless, and just to repeat what everyone else had done, there's no evolution involved in that, neither for you or the world. And so when you let go of those strains, those restrictions, so to speak, then your creativity flows. And out of the box, just create something different. That's why you're here, to add something new. As we've told Roger, we gave him all of our information, but we said it's coming from ancient things, it comes from information that has always existed. But what he's done is put his stamp on it. That's what you're supposed to do. You're given something, each of you had something within you that you were meant to develop, to add your essence to it as you move through your lives, and then it becomes something new and your world expands. Doesn't happen if you keep cutting yourself down. That's what we said. Sometimes, yeah, you might create something, you don't like it, great, you learn something else. Or it doesn't work, great, you just make it better. Doesn't matter, but to stop yourself is the thing, the mindfulness that we'd love for you to pay attention to more, and you did that, and that's wonderful. Do we have more? We will give you something in general. The next, in January, the next you'll have we want you to up level your love through these next several days, because you can do that because you have your holiday and you have your New Year's, which is a wonderful time. But we also gave you in 2012, on January 31st of 2012, we gave you your future, because what we wanted you to understand is that you are creating your future world. You're creating your future life and you're creating your future world, because they are the same. And so because this is such a great shift of your world, we've called it a restructuring, because it is so dynamic and so energetic. This is why you've seen all the chaos and the conflict and the division. But you are supposed to up level. So we want you to have fun. We want you to love yourself. You don't have to go out and do something out there to fix anything, but you do have to fix something within you. And that is just loving who you are and appreciating your life experience, everything that you were given. And sometimes it's really challenging, and eventually you understand how valuable it was. You just have to hold that place now until you reach this next level of your existence, and you will, because we're going to keep giving you the information till you get there.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank
We
you.
thank you. We thank you all so very much. And we are so pleased for your contribution to your world, and you will understand how important you are, because we're going to keep telling you. So we love you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenas noches.
Great. All righty, everyone. Thank you so very much for being here. And we will send this out. We will get the replays done, and we'll send it out to everyone so you can have this. And I'll be back tomorrow. Okay.
And a Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Happy holidays.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Take care. I'll see you soon.
Goodbye, Roger.
Bye-bye.